as is. I might be looking on this other side just because I've got two screens. So, hello and welcome to the Student Parliament Candidate Debate being hosted as part of the Student Union's Student Elections 2026. These debates, of course, will be recorded and will be made available for students to watch back as well. Could I ask that all the candidates please keep your cameras on for the duration of the debate, and if any attendees wish to keep them off, they're free to do so as well. Um, I'd also ask that everyone to please keep muted. So just put your microphones on mute when others are speaking. And if you have a question or comment, you have the opportunity to share it. I'll bring you in at that point. So the other thing I wanted to add is please be respectful to others. Don't talk over anyone who's speaking, even if you disagree. It's okay to disagree, but just let's be respectful in the process. So I want to officially welcome everyone who has been able to make this candidate debate as part of the 2026 student elections. My name is Emmanuel Akerele, and I am the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Advisor of the university. And for me specifically, I'm looking forward to the discussion today with all of the candidates. I've had my own history with the student union as a student president in the past, so very much looking forward to what you're bringing to the debate today. Of course, just a bit of background, there are four different president and student parliament roles being contested this year as part of the student union's elections. But this week, it's all about finding out more about the candidates before, as the electorate, students, you get to make up your mind who you want to vote for. So you get to find out who they are, why are they running for these roles, what is their motivation, and what will they do if they get elected at all? So, quickly, what is the candidate debate? You might be asking yourself. This year, the union is running a number of candidate debate events. Today, we're talking to the candidates of the student parliament roles. We'll start by hearing directly from each candidate. They'll outline their manifesto aims, what they would like to achieve, and why, of course, should students vote for them. Then, of course, we'll ask them some questions. Most of these questions will be relevant to the roles that they're running for and relevant to their manifestos as well. But I think it's also important that as students, you get to ask your questions as well. So, as much as possible, we'll try and get through any of the questions that do come in. So today we have running for the student parliament roles. We've got Bernice Kumade. Did I get that correctly, Bernice? Sorry, you're on mute. Please feel free to unmute. And I just want to make sure I get it right. Is it Bernice Kumade?
Yes, yes, you did get it right.
All
Yes,
right,
thank you.
fantastic. Thank you very much. And then we've also got Favor Ukanwa. Is that correct?
Yes, Favor Okanwa. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. So, each of you will be given 2 minutes each to speak, and then we'll walk our way through each of the roles, and of course, I'll call you in alphabetical order. So in this instance, that'll be Bernice first, and then Favor. So, if you can, you've got 2 minutes. What I would like for you to do today is to introduce yourself, your manifesto, what's why you're running for this role, what's essentially you're going to bring to the role if you do get elected. So you've got 2 minutes, Bernice, and then after you've got 2 minutes, Favor. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Bernice Komade. I'm currently doing my master's in business leadership and management. I am also a student ambassador. I am volunteering for Go Green, that's Kim Shop, and I'm currently a student course rep as well. So, being in the university, I have realized that student engagement to student policies and how decisions are made are quite limited. Students do not know, some do not have any idea what goes on campus. And I stand to run for this role because I believe I have the capacity, I have the skill set and everything to be able to help to make good decisions that will help us as students. So I recently joined the AGM meeting that happened. And then I realized that there were issues with some of the presidents currently. And I believe that as a parliamentary member, I can be able to, help hold leaders accountable when, they are not doing what is expected of them as leaders to be able to do. So I believe I'm here to, enforce that part of some checks and balances so that we leadership can be able to act accordingly, right? So that is one of the reasons why I'm running for this position. And then I'm here because I believe I have the integrity, I'm hardworking, and I have engaged with, more than 2/3 of students on campus here. And so I have come down to their level. I know some of the issues some of them are facing, and I'm also open to have new ideas to be able to bring on board just to help with the decision-making process. So basically, that is me, and that is what I stand for, and that is what I want to believe, that with my involvement in the student parliament, I can be able to, achieve something great for the university, for the school, and for myself as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bernice. Thank you for everything that you said. I've got some questions that will come up when we start asking questions. So, hold some of those thoughts. So, Favor, you've got 2 minutes and to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Favor, and I'm a digital marketing and business analytics student at RGU. I'm also an RG influencer, and I'm also the current president of the Nigerian Society. I'm currently doing placement, and I'm working with the university as an international digital marketing coordinator. So I've had a lot of experience working with the university and working with students, and I've noticed that there's just as my sister said here, that there's a lack of kind of communication with students, and in terms of a lot of students are not aware of decisions that are actually being made for them. And I feel like I have the skills to be able to make sure that I'm advocating for student rights and also student concerns as well, and making sure that the presidents are actually fulfilling their promises which they have stated in their manifestos, and holding them accountable, but more in terms of having a conversation and seeing how we can work through those through some of the issues, and seeing how we can best help to improve the student experience. And also I have a very I have a very good relationship with a lot of students, and a lot of students trust me with a lot of things and have come to me with certain issues, and having worked with different students across different schools. And I've started to see some of the issues in terms of, like, even with the Grace School of Arts, how a lot of them don't feel included in terms of events that are happening and I feel like there needs to be more inclusion between all the different schools, and also working with the student officers, the SSOs, and ensuring that all schools are being represented, including postgraduate students and even the sports as well. Because during the ADM, which I had the privilege of attending, there were some issues that were raised with how sports societies not feeling included in decisions, and I have seen that there is a gap in representation for all students. So I feel like I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to help bridge those gaps, and also using digital campaigns as well, and making sure that I am promoting these things, and using different forums and surveys, and collecting student feedback, and actually taking that to meetings with the board, with the union, taking that to the parliament meetings, and making sure that I am advocating for student rights. And yep, and I'm also willing to learn on the role as well, because definitely this is a new role. So I know that there's going to be a lot to learn. So I'm hardworking, and I'm somebody that is very willing to learn more on the role. And I feel like I have the abilities to be able to do that effectively. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You've both spoken really, really well. Just before we proceed, just a quick reminder to everyone attending today, that if you're a student in the room, please feel free to keep your cameras off, and stay muted. If you've got a question, please use the raise your hand function. I can bring you in if you've got questions, or alternatively, you can also put your questions if you've got them in the chat, and I will try as much as possible to capture them as we go along. So, before I ask any questions, you've both heard from each other in terms of what your manifesto aims are, what you're willing to do, and sort of the gaps that you've identified. In response to any of that, do you have any questions that you maybe have for one another, or is there anything you want to add into what has already been said? I can give you about 20 to 30 seconds to add anything if you'd like, or if you've got a specific question to the other candidate that you've got. And of course, it's okay if you don't have any question or you don't have anything you want to add. We've still got questions coming up as well. So feel free not to, or don't feel pressure that you have to ask a question or something. But if you do, please let me know and then I can bring you in. Okay, fantastic. All right then. So I've got a few questions here, and what I'm gonna do is I will roll out the questions, and but I would make sure that the questions are coming to both of yous. You take turns in, who goes first and who comes later on with the questions. You've got 1 minute, so if you can please, as much as possible, help me to help you. Keep your responses straight to the point, manage your time, but make sure that you hit all the points that you want to hit and make students know what your intentions are. So I've got sort of those general questions, and then later on, I've got a bit more specific questions that are more related to what you've put in your manifestos as well. So, just keep that in mind. Again, reminder to everyone attending, if you've got any questions, even throughout the entirety of this process, just use your hand, raise your hand function if you'd like to speak. If not, please pop them into the chat or comments section, whichever is more appropriate. Okay, so the first question, I will go to Bernice, and then we'll come to Favor if if you're able to. My question is, students are regularly provided with surveys, questionnaires, and polls to complete and to fill in. And this often leads to an overload of surveys or survey fatigue, which can result in poor response rates and inaccurate feedback sometimes. If you are elected, what methods do you plan to use to gather feedback without adding yet another survey to their inbox? I hope that question is clear. So I'll go to Bernice first and then to Favor. You've both got 60 seconds.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for this question. So one thing that I know is that, all these surveys, some of the students actually don't even, tackle it at all. Because I believe there are some myself I have tackled, there were others I did not. I believe that no matter what the subject matter of these surveys are about, they should be able to have enough publicity concerning it. If we are able to get the students to be concerned enough about exactly what we want them to give us, then I believe that they will be more than happy to help. And how can we get them to be interested? So I believe that a face-to-face kind of communication is best because like I stated initially, the engagement is quite low because most of them, they don't feel connected at all to the school or to some of these policies. So if we are able to go to them, even if we cannot get to them exactly, we can speak through their course reps. We give them the information. Okay, pass this to them because you are representing us. Pass this to them, get their feedback, and then let us know. So even if they have any feedback, if some of them are feeling, they are not able or capable to voice it out with their faces, they can just write it as, a mystery note or something and drop it in a mystery box that we will have in all the schools, in all the buildings, actually, so that if they have any idea, they can just come drop it in. At the end of each week, we can just, gather all these things and then we can be able
All
to
right.
sort them out. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernice. Thank you so much. Over to you, Favor.
Hi, thank you so much for the question. So, I believe that a lot of students get a lot of emails and are bombarded with a lot of emails and surveys, and most of the time, most of them don't even click it or don't even check. because it can actually be quite overwhelming. So I definitely think having in-person conversations with students, I think is will be a lot more beneficial, because the kind of feedback that you'll get will be a lot better. Even during our last debate yesterday, which I attended, some of the postgraduate students particularly were saying how they don't feel like they are represented, and they were saying how, like, most of the events is in the Riverside building, and they're all the way up at Sir Ianwood building. So I feel like, if we are going around these different schools and actually going to the students and asking them for their feedback, I think we will be able to get a lot more tangible feedback and be able to take those feedback, take them to the board, take them to meetings, and have conversations with the union about them. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Favor. I think both of you have spoken really well. But maybe I've got a follow-up question, and any of you, please feel free to go first. You can, yeah, if you want, you can also use your raise your hand function, so I'll know who's going first and all. But you both spoken really well about looking at alternative means of gathering information as opposed to surveys. And part of what you're talking about is sort of the face-to-face element and also the anonymity in terms of gathering the surveys. Quite often, people tend to maybe start by putting anonymous feedback, but then after a while, you tend to see that it dries up as well. So, what would you do? Because it's all beautiful ideas, but what would you do if, for example, you put an anonymous box and nothing comes in, or you've also looked at engaging face to face, but then it's a wide campus, which could mean that some people are left out. How would you ensure that some parts of the campus are not left out? Essentially, especially given that you're just one human being.
Hi. So one of the things I think I would do is also working closely with, like, the SSOs of the different schools, and working closely with class reps as well, and getting their feedback from, classes, because, students do talk to each other. So, I would want to work closely with them, so that if any student has brought any feedback to them, it might not have to be me directly, but they might, working with them, they might get some feedback, and I would be able to also assist with that as well, and take those feedback to the union. Also, I think also doing more digital engagement as well, online engagement, putting these things out, promoting it on, different pages that we have, the union page, the Instagram page, the Facebook page, getting more publicity, as well as the in-person. So I feel like if we do I feel like if we do a combination of all these things, that will really help to improve engagement from the students. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank
Okay.
you, Bernice. Do you want to add to that? Just quickly,
Yes,
like
please. All right.
60
Okay,
seconds.
so I believe that consistency is key. So like you said, I'm only one human being. So I believe I am not working alone. I have the student presidents with me. I have SSOs. I have class reps. So here's what I think that we can do. So we can give them, a rotational kind of basis to check these mystery boxes out. We gather the information and then, we work on them. The thing is, we have to be consistent with it. So if we say we are emptying these boxes on Friday, we are emptying them. And then how can we get information into these mystery boxes at all? Like I said initially, we speak to them. So each course rep is going to speak to their classes. Okay, so this and this and that. If you have issues, you cannot come forward to me. Just
5
write it
seconds
down
left.
and drop it. All right. So drop it inside these mystery boxes that will be emptied. So it doesn't, roll back at you as a student. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll come back to you, Favor, with my next question, and then Bernice, you can also come in afterwards as well. At the student parliament, you'll be representing students at a senior level within the union. What strategies would you use to ensure that the voices of the students you represent are heard?
So I would ensure that the voices of the students are being heard by advocating for them and bringing their issues and their concerns to the board and making sure that the actionable steps are being taken towards them, whether it's putting in motions, whether it's, discussing these things at AGMs, and also making sure that I'm holding the presidents accountable as well and ensuring that they are fulfilling what they promise in their manifestos as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Favor. Bernice?
Okay, I believe in one thing. That is the more reason why I am here. I believe in speaking up, So we could have thousands of policies, we could have thousands of, decisions and everything. But if we do not have the people who can actually advocate for these things, then, it never gets anywhere. So speaking up is the way I believe that I can be able to truly represent the voices of the people, because I am at, quite a higher level at the student parliament. It is only, good that I speak up. I speak what they give to me, through the course reps, through
Thanks,
the
Akas.
SSOs, so that I can be able to, present it and get it done. So speaking up is all I do. Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll stick with you there, Bernice, with the next question, and then Favor, you can come in as well. The next question says, student parliament will be key in driving decision making and tangible change within the union. How will you, if elected, how will you ensure that any changes to policy support all the students at RGU?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So in the first place, I did speak about student engagement, gathering all the informations that, and opinions of students. I kind of now have a fair idea of what most of the student wants, if not all. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just present, oh, stop, hold on. Could you just ask me the question again? I forgot the question.
So see, the student parliament is very integral to the decision making that will be happening in the union. Now,
Okay.
when they want to make a decision or a decision that will bring about a tangible change, a change that would impact on
Okay.
different things. How would
Okay.
you
Okay.
ensure that
Okay.
that change, for example, if it's a change to policy, how would you ensure
Mhm.
that that change is supporting the entire student population
Okay.
as not
Okay.
some? Yeah. So, for
Okay. Okay.
example, I'll give you some context to help with your answers,
All right.
right? Think about the students on ground, but then there are also students who study completely online. There are also
Okay.
mature students, as in the same
Mm-hmm.
vein as there are
Mm-hmm.
international students. There are undergraduate students, there are postgraduate students, there are PhD students as well. So think about all the different kinds of students, and if a policy is or a change is going to come in, how would you ensure that that change is supportive of the entire student population?
Okay. So thank you very much for once again. So before any decision can be made, I believe that it has to reflect and be in favor of all of the students, because, there is no distinctions, these some are not better than the others. I believe that going to them, speaking to them, hearing their views and opinions, we can be able to, advocate these things at the student parliament. One key value I have is integrity. I mean, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't compromise at all. So if it's not going to benefit all of the students, I will not be quiet. I'll speak up. So this is what I'm going to do. If the policy comes up after hearing all the different segments of students, I know, okay, hey, this is not going to help the online students. This is not going to help the mature students. So no, these things, we cannot be able to implement this unless we, put things in place, we change things a bit here and there to make sure
Okay.
that it fits all of the students. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
fantastic. Thank you. Over to you, Favor.
Could you just repeat the question again?
Okay, student parliament, which you would be attending if you do get elected, will be key in driving decision making and tangible changes within the union. How will you ensure that any changes to policy would support the entire student population, and how do you?
Okay, so for me, before any major decision is is made or any policy is being changed or made, all students should be able to have a say in that decision. So we could do certain things like giving out polls, giving out surveys, and for like the online students, we could either send them emails about it, or we could either communicate with them through social media as well. And we could do certain things like surveys and say, okay, this is a motion that's being put forward, and be able to get people's thoughts on it. And then that way, when we bring together everyone's thoughts, the different schools, PhD students, postgraduate students, undergrad students, and then we're able to see what everyone, what everyone thinks about those ideas, then we can know whether is this actually in favor of all the students, or is it just only going to favor a certain particular kind of students, because we need to make sure that before any ideas are being put forward, that all students have a say. So it's just ensuring that students actually have a voice, and ensuring that I am making sure that I am advocating for students' rights and for student voices as well, and representing all students at RG. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay. I will maybe I will dwell on that question a little bit, because I think, you both answered fantastically well, but I want you to maybe just throw a little bit more light on a specific angle of the question, okay? So the question says, student parliament, you will be attending student parliament as as a representative of student voice on the parliament. And that parliament is responsible for key decision making that brings about tangible changes. Now, the key part I want you to answer here is, how will you, not anyone else, how will you, who's representing the voice of students on that parliament, what will you do, or how will you ensure that any changes to the policy or any changes that are coming at all is supportive of the entire student population? How will you do it? If you can summarize that in just, it doesn't need to be long. You can think about it for 10 seconds, but I just need an answer in just a maximum of 20 seconds. I'll come to you, Bernice, and then I'll go to Favor. Okay. Anyone want to attempt the question?
So for me, I would actively engage with different societies, sports clubs, course representative, SSOs, and I will also use surveys, digital engagement to make sure that I am representing the whole student board, and also making sure that, like, my goal at the end of the day is to make sure that I'm representing all students and all their voices. So just making sure that all students feel included and all students feel valued and represented in any decision that is being made about them, and making sure that during these parliament meetings, I am advocating for student voices and representing for their rights, and what is best for the whole student board.
Okay, fantastic. Bernice, do you want to come in, or is that okay?
Yes,
I can go on
I
to the
want to
next
just
question.
add something.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that for me, a simple no would suffice. I mean, if a decision is coming through, right? A motion is coming through, and I believe for some reason that this motion is not really representing the whole of the student body, it is geared towards one side, then I believe a simple do at that point in time is going to do, right? So that we wait, and then we'll gather more informations before we can be able to, get back to that particular motion again.
Okay.
So until it serves the purpose of all the students, I believe my answer is still going to be no. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you both. I think you've answered really well. You've focused on different core aspects of it. One, which is on actually gathering the information to understand the experiences of all, so you're able to really advocate for everyone, and then also being able to be challenging even though you're on the parliament, and not just nod and say yes to everything. Okay, so that's very good. Now we're at a point in today's debate where we're going to be talking about what you've written in your manifestos and what you've actually laid down as your priority aims. What I will do is I'm going to ask you the questions. You're going to have 1 minute to answer. Again, if you can please keep to a maximum of 1 minute. Actually, because I'll be asking the specific question to the individual does not mean that if you are the opposing candidate and you have something to contribute as an addition to what has been said, that you cannot do so, you can. So all you need to do is just let me know if you'd like to come in by using the raise your hand function, and I'll bring you in afterwards. Of course, for this segment, we'll also go with the alphabetical order, so which means I'll come to you first, Bernice, before I go to Favor. So Bernice, specifically for your question, in your manifesto, you asked what your priority aim is. However, you've not specifically provided a clear response. What is your priority aim if you were to be elected to student parliament? And what will you do to achieve this?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So one of my priority aims is to increase student engagement and to represent them quite well. Another one is for accountability. So all these three things, I believe are strong informations. I believe they are strong policies, strong points for me, because student engagement is, the reason why we are here. We want to represent the students. So whatever their decisions are, I know that most of them are quiet. They don't want to talk. They don't want to be engaged, because I spoke to a couple of them. Some are like, oh no, I'm not interested in all of that. So I just want them to be as interested, because this is our alma mater, this is our school. So whatever happens here, it happens to us. Any name the school has for itself is going to also be for us. It's a good thing to have that. And also another thing I spoke about was accountability, like I said. So there are lots of things that the presidents are, speaking about. I am here to make sure that all the things they speak about, that they are held accountable to them, so that students will know they are well represented. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Favor, Jaffe, got anything you want to add to that, or any question? No, none. Okay, so we'll come to you with your question then. All right. So, Favor, you've identified communication as the main issue affecting students and how you will use your platform to share important information and updates. The university, RGU, and the union have many different types of students with various access to social media and other platforms. How will you communicate with these different kinds of student audiences within the university to understand their issues and ensure that their voices are heard?
Hi, thank you so much for your question. So, like I said earlier, I think rather than relying on one form of communication, the best thing to do is to use a combined different kinds of communication, because like you said, there are some students that don't have social media, so they wouldn't know anything that's going on there. And then there are also some students that are only online and that are not on campus. And then you have students that are actively on campus. So I think by combining different forms of communication strategies through social media as one of them, and through actually going to the different schools, speaking to students around the campus, speaking to the SSOs, speaking to class reps, and asking them if there've been any concerns, or if they have any concerns, or just anything that they would like to, kind of know about. I've had some students come to me and say, oh, maybe they've had some issues in this way, and I've gone myself and I've gone to speak to the relevant person and try to find a solution, and I've gotten back to them. So I think there just needs to be communication on using different platforms through in-person communication, online communication, surveys, emails, and just any form of communication that is available to us, to ensure that all students are being represented and advocated for. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Favor. Bernice, do you want to add anything to that in terms of communication, or have you got any question for Favor?
I just want to add something.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so like she rightly said, communication is a big thing. I have realized one thing that, LinkedIn is like the biggest corporate platform that can be able to help students. Most RGU students are not on there. And even the few people that are on there, they are not really active. And so when information about the school goes out there, there are just only a handful of people that are following it and hyping it. I think that it all begins with us. It all begins with us. If all the school representatives, if the student representative, the president and everything, all of us are able to, push this, I think that our school can be able to, go out there, because all the noise, it has to come from us. So I believe that focusing on these things and having some kind of strategy to capitalize on LinkedIn and other social media is going to help the school, the students as a whole. Thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. We're almost at the closing, but I do have a question that I'm going to ask you personally, and this is also coming from my experience as a student president. And as you've rightly said, it's a new role. You're going to be stepping into a role where you're representing the voice of students in the parliament, which is key to decision making. And I'd really like for you to contribute to these questions genuinely. If you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know, but it's an important question that I want to think about. Now, as a member of parliament representing your constituents in this instance being the students that you represent, and understanding that your student body is a very diverse cohort. So, for example, the students who either have got disability or they're different, cutting across different age gaps and age grades, and all the different kinds of students, international students, homegrown students, they've all got the specific individual kinds of issues that they want solutions for. Where the parliament have not dealt with issues that are maybe concerning tangible changes to students, how would you ensure that you are able to bring forward the real issues that are battling students, not just, superficial things? How are you able to bring them forward, to table them at the parliament? What would you do in that regard?
Okay, thank you. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right. So, like I've been saying since we started, student engagement is everything. And I believe that too much online is not helping us at all as a school. So we should be able to go face to face with the students, right? So there are lots of issues on the ground, actually. I don't know. It looks like we are speaking so much about communication, but nothing is really, done, because I know I've had, interactions with the presidents and everything, but it was only for, a certain period of time. I believe that if we put ourselves out there, right? And then we are on the campuses, we are all over the place. So we can take like a day, and then all of us as representatives, we just scope the school. We are all over the place. We are trying to, talk to people. Is there any issue here and there? It might be subtle, but I think that this is really going to help us to
Okay,
move forward, because
okay,
the real issues are on the ground. The real issues are with the people that are around, and they don't want to put their faces to it, right? They don't want to be
okay,
like, okay, Benes is saying this and this and that. They don't want to do it. So if I see them, if I interact with them, I get the information, then I'm getting it right from the source,
okay,
right? And a question from one person could be like a question of 100 people, because 100 people want to ask the question. Nobody has the boldness to, ask. So one person asks the question, and then we consider all these things. So how many of us, the presidents, executives, representatives, there's lots of us. We can take a
okay,
day, right? Each month to do this. I think that we'll get somewhere if we are only diligent enough and hardworking enough, because we are here to serve the student anyway. So why
okay.
not do that? Yeah, it
All
should
right.
be
Thank you,
possible. Yeah,
Bernice.
thank you.
Thank you. Favor, do you want to add into that?
Yes, I just have something to add. So I agree with what Bernice is saying as well. And I also think one thing I've noticed that students find it easier to kind of raise concerns or talk about issues when they trust you, or when there's some level of trust. So I think when, with the student presidents, they're quite busy, they've got a lot going on. So I think sometimes, fair enough, it's quite difficult for them to really interact with all students. And I think that's where us as student parliament can really come in. And I think we can really be we can really be the voices of the students, and we can really go around building these connections with students, building that trust with students, building the connections, because a lot of students feel like they aren't represented. A lot of, like I mentioned earlier, postgraduate students, the Grade School of Art students, they don't feel like they are represented. But I think if we are actively going around school, actively going around asking questions, asking what kind of concerns are you having, what are the issues that you're facing, a lot of students are facing, because a lot of what students are facing is quite similar to what a lot of other people are facing. So we go around asking these questions. I think we can then kind of come up with these ideas, take these ideas to the parliament, and actually say, okay, these are the issues that students are facing. How can we go about solving it? And I think this is where conversations need to start happening, because I feel like there's a lack of communication because we are not having these conversations and nothing is being done. So we really need to have these conversations and actually work on actionable steps to actually improving it. And, at the end of the day, we are here to represent the students. And I think that's what we as student parliaments are really, really here to do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you both. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Bernice. You've really, really spoken so well and talked about your manifesto aims. Thank you very much for attending. And thank you, everyone who has been watching or is going to be watching this back. Thank you for those who submitted questions. We hope that this has been really useful for you to be able to gain insight into the aims and the manifesto of the candidates, and hopefully this sort of provides some form of information that helps to influence your voting as is. Quick reminder that voting opens next week on Tuesday and runs through until Thursday. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then results will be announced on Friday by 2 p.m. So that's next week Friday, not today. So next week Friday, 2 p.m. results will be announced. Before then, you can still read the manifestos. You can watch campaign videos of the candidates. You can find out more about the candidates on the Student Union website, which is www.rguunion.co.uk. And on that note, from myself and the rest of the team in the union, good luck to you. Good luck to Favor, good luck to Bernice, and get on with voting from Tuesday to Thursday next week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching back, and thank you for engaging with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.